So we've got our two files. We've got HTML here, and then we've got what it shows like opening Internet Explorer. So this is contactform.html, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some styling information, which means format it, make it look nice. And to do that, what we need to do is the styling information can sit in this file because the example that we're doing is very small, and any information about styling and things like that needs to go inside a head tag, which is after the opening HTML tag but before the opening body tag. So I'm putting in my opening and closing head tags. So this is just giving some information about the file to the browser, and then within here I need to say, well, I'm going to give you some style information, and so we have to write the opening and closing style tags like so. So I'm going to save this, refresh this, and shouldn't really make any difference to what we've got so far, unless we've got the tags in the wrong place. And inside the two style tags is going to go CSS, which is a bit like HTML, but it's basically about how we format, how we make each of these elements look. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to type in body, and we need curly braces for CSS. So the confusing thing is that some HTML and CSS are written with different syntax, which means different braces or brackets are used and different rules apply to how you write it. But essentially what we're doing is we're saying, in the section which says body, I want you to apply whatever I write in between the curly braces here after I've written body. So if you have a look at body, that takes up all of the information that we have written, including our form. Those are all the elements, including heading 1, inside body. So what we're saying is, inside there, what I'd like you to do is to give it a width, and then we need a colon after each property. So width is like a property of 60em, and 60em means make it proportional to the font size that we're using. And then I'm going to say margin, and again a colon, and then a space, and I'm going to say don't have any top and bottom margins, which is what the 0 stands for, top and bottom. And then the left and right margins, I want you to make those auto, and I have to end the line with a semicolon. So let's just save this and then refresh my browser, and no changes really happen. And one of the really annoying things about Internet Explorer is that you kind of make these changes and you think something should happen, and you spend ages and ages trying to figure out what's going wrong. And sometimes what happens is, in Internet Explorer, the way it's displaying information, it isn't using the current version of the document. So if we press F12, what you'll get on your Internet Explorer, I've got this out as a separate window, but yours should just appear at the bottom. If you get this problem, I mean, you might not. I might have set up Internet Explorer in a particular way. So I'm just resizing the window so that you can see how this would look on yours. So you would have this window probably just open at the bottom of your HTML document. And the important thing to notice here is that document mode here says quirks. So I'm going to change that to Internet Explorer 9, and then you'll see that it's actually made some difference to how this is being displayed. And to really make sure that the display is changing, we have to maximize the window, and then you should be able to see that within this huge window that this is centered within a width of 60em, and then this is lined up with the heading here. So let's just get this back to where it was. So that's just one item that we have changed for body over here. The next thing that we're going to apply a style to is just our form tag here. Now because these are HTML tags, we can just use form exactly like we did with body above, and we need an opening brace and a closing curly brace, and then we can use tab to move in, and this is just for our own benefit, not for anybody else's. So if I set the width of the form, let's say to 13em, and then end that with a semicolon, and then I'm going to give it a padding, which means around the form make me a nice little border so that nothing kind of is squashed up together, just around the edge of the form. And then I'm going to give this a border. So again, you can look up these properties and use them yourself. So I'm going to give it a border. So let's just start off with giving the border a width, and let's give the border a width of maybe 0.1em, because in relation to a font being size 14, 0.1 is quite a nice thin border. And let's give this border a style, and you can again look up on the internet to see what sort of styles you can give, but for this one you can have dashed and various things like that. I'm going to use a solid style, and then let's give it a color, and we'll change these to fit in with your color scheme for the website that you've actually got. But for now I'm just going to type in the word grey. Later on we'll look at how to use some numbers, hex numbers, to figure out the correct color. So all we've done with our form is we've given it a width. So we've said whatever you display in form, make it this wide, give it a padding, so don't just, you know, line these up right next to each other. Put a border around it and make that border grey. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at what that's done. And it should give us a grey border around just our form there. And the other thing that you can do is you can kind of, you know, change this color. There are certain colors which are just recognized. So for example, I could use red there and save that, refresh this, and the border color changes. And you can also experiment with having padding as more or less and see what happens as a result. So that padding 1.5 means that all of the elements are lined in 1.5 from the edge of the form there. So that's quite a useful thing to have. And then the last thing we're going to do is with our form is I'm just going to make the border round. So we're going to use, for that we need to use border radius. Round, I mean rounded corners, to just make it look kind of a little bit better. And less than 1 pixel's worth of roundness, 0.7em. Again, end it with a semicolon, save this, and we've got a nice rounded border. And again, you can experiment with changing the value of this to see what happens as a result of doing that. So in the next one we'll look at how to change how the other elements are being displayed.